And away we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Daily Ticket with you here on a February 26th. It is a Wednesday, 2025. Sean Brace riding solo for today. Back in action tomorrow, I believe. That will be the case. And then on Friday as well, back in studio. So still dealing with some stuff behind the scenes at home. Mom was good to go, though, healthy, ready to go. Out of surgery yesterday. Brand new hip. And the recovery time is a little less than what they're projecting Joel Embiid to be dealing with. Anyways, a good conversation yesterday on the timeline. Make sure you check out everything that we went over as far as Joel Embiid with Sean Bernard on our socials at Fox PHL Gambler. And while you're there, it is a perfect way to start today's show because, folks, we announced last night that we are back at the Philly Show. And the Philly Show, for those that maybe aren't up and didn't catch our two previous times there broadcasting live, check them out online at phillyshow.com. It's a Greater Expo Center in Oaks, PA. It is as big as it gets as far as baseball cards, sports memorabilia, collectibles, you name it, signings, all of that. It's going down here. Now, the cool thing about the Philly Show is these guys have put together such a show over the years. Matter of fact, I believe the 50th anniversary, 50th show is coming up in September. So that tells you how long they've been doing it, coast to coast, national, might even be global for maybe I have to ask Christy that when we see her next weekend, but definitely coast to coast, and nobody does it bigger and better than these folks. And this time around, it's only going to be that much more bigger. They have added in all things Eagles. And of course, off of the heels of a Super Bowl victory, second in franchise history, they are pulling out all the stops. And I commend them. I salute them on whoever is doing the booking because they are in on the things that made the Philadelphia Eagles special besides the players. The funny stuff like Dom out there. Dom's going to be in attendance signing autographs. Howie Roseman will be there in attendance signing autographs. Of course, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, all the big names you could imagine will be there. Everything is available at phillyshow.com. Even Gilly. Yeah, that's right. The team mascot, Gilly, is going to be running around signing autographs. That's pretty cool. But it doesn't stop there with the Eagles, just so you know. There's so much more going on. It's such an experience. If you have a child, you need to get there. Whether they're into collectibles or a sports fan, it is so cool. It's a perfect way to spend a morning, afternoon. They're not open at night. Actually, I take that back. Friday night goes till 9 o'clock at night. Saturdays till 6 and Sundays till 3 p.m. So, but if you got a couple hours on a day and you got a child, or you want to check it out for yourself, phillyshow.com. We will be announcing a giveaway on our socials at Fox PHL Gambler today, and on Monday we'll be giving away another autographed jersey. You have to find out who it is. Both players did start for the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59, and all you have to do is follow a few key outlets on social media and tag someone, and bang, bang, boom, you could be winning an autographed jersey. As simple as that. No purchase necessary. phillyshow.com. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get down to business. What do you say here on a Wednesday? So much going on in the world of sports. Got some great college basketball games going off tonight. Had a pretty good one last night that we will touch on. NBA, we got a bunch of games going off this evening. Last night, that's where I want to start. Unfortunately, for the 76ers perspective, we are on ESPN tonight. Now, Karl Anthony Towns, I'm not so sure if he is not going to go or not, but it's a 10-point spread. The Sixers are catching 10 on the road at MSG. Again, nationally televised game. Nobody wants to watch the Sixers, specifically me right here. Now, with that being said, we will start in the NBA last night, and I guess the question that we have to ask ourselves now is it time to view the Lakers as a contender? What is the ceiling for the LA Lakers in your mind? Now, again, we are talking about very little time between Luka and LeBron and the rest of the team figuring it out, what works and what doesn't work. JJ Redick's a very smart basketball coach, doing a great job, but something such a drastic change in the middle of the season, I think is going to take some time to really find their stride. And beating a team like the Dallas Mavericks, shouldn't surprise us, as they were 9.5-point favorites, but did not cover the number, only winning by 8. However, that win on Saturday over the Denver Nuggets, that's the one that really opened my eyes. And I guess the question again, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I think this team can win the NBA Finals. And ultimately, it comes down to the number. Is it worth a shot taking a flyer on the Lakers to represent the West? I'm not sold, specifically that they can do it, that they are a better team than the Oklahoma City Thunder or a Denver Nuggets team in a 7-game series. Hell, the Warriors are now 6-1 with Jimmy Butler in the mix. Are they better than them? Will there be a team that finds their groove over the next 30, 45 days until we get NBA playoffs going? Could something derail the Lakers? If you do believe now, there's a lot of time. And when you're seeing numbers like plus 750 on DraftKings for the LA Lakers to represent the West, I just don't see that as a good number. So if you're asking me for value, no, there's no value on that number. That number has sailed. And also, you know what you're getting into when you wager on a team such as the Lakers. A huge public favorite. Everybody wants to be involved. Luka, there's so many people that would just imagine this being way too easy than it's going to be. And therefore, you're not going to get a good number regardless of the book. But at this point in time, Oklahoma City Thunder, even money to win the West. Denver 6-1, Lakers plus 750, Warriors plus 950, Grizzlies 12-1, T-Wolves 21 with a huge victory 2 nights ago against OKC. You got the Clippers, you got the Mavs, and I don't think we need to go any further. A big drop off by the Rockets there at 28-1. Now, last night though, real quick, if we could on this, because these are the games that we tune into throughout the course of an 82-game season. And most of us, and this one starts at 10 p.m., most of us probably did have action on it, but there are a few people out there that are just tuning in because it's LeBron James. It's Luka versus old team. The storylines are there, the buildup, the drama, the hype. I don't know another game this season that would have been even in the same ballpark as far as pregame hype behind it. You had the Cavs and the Oklahoma City Thunder, who were the two best teams in the regular season in history. This was 2 months ago when they first matched up, and we were building that up. But that took a little bit of the know for you to tune into. Like, you had to realize, like, oh, these are two of the best teams in the NBA. Oh, these records are incredible. This is the first time in NBA history that we've ever seen two teams matched up with these records, with only this amount of losses at this point in time in the NBA season. Like, there took a little bit of a buildup just to get you there in front of a television. This last night is not the case. The Lakers, LeBron, Luka, not the case. It's fun. It's fun. The purple and gold. It's fun. MJ, the brand rolling out the Lambo, the 77 on the license plate. It's fun. They bought out a parking lot, and courtesy of Luka and the Jordan brand gave free parking. I don't know how many spots were available in that lot out there in LA, but regardless, they're saving some people money out there. The hype was there. The buildup, as I said, going into the game. You got Nico Harrison on the sidelines in the electric blue suit. Will he exchange words with Luka? Will Luka say anything to him? Will they even look at each other? Cuban in the building. I mean, the list goes on and on. There was so much there that you just were drawn to a television screen going, you know what? I'm entertained. Let's go. Get me to the hoops. And it turned out to be a decent game. First half was a little bit more up and down. Third quarter, they got in the mud. Fourth quarter, Lakers were the better team. They didn't cover the number. So if you were wagering on that game, it was always intriguing from that perspective. But you never thought, even though it was a 3-point game late in the fourth quarter, 5-6 minutes to go, you never thought that the Lakers were going to lose that game. I just did not get that feeling that they were going to lose that game. Exum ended up getting hurt. He had to leave the game. So that was a tough blow because he was contributing very well for the Dallas Mavericks, who are a depleted roster at this point in time. But shout out to Kyrie. He balled out. He played well. I got to tip my cap to the Mavericks. They gave their best effort, but the story starts and ends with Luka, triple-double. First Laker since Kareem to record 15-plus points, 15-plus rebounds, 10-plus assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks in a game. Him and LeBron as a duo right now, both averaging over 19 points per game. I think LeBron is at 24. Luka's at 19. LeBron is at 8 rebounds per game. Luka's at 9. 6 assists for LeBron. Luka's at 7. These guys are putting it together, and it's only been a few games so far as a duo. But again, I'm wondering where we're at right now with the ceiling for the Lakers. That's where I want to get this conversation started today. Are they a contender in your mind? Is there something that you're seeing now that you weren't buying a week ago? Again, they don't have the size down low, but they do have some serious athleticism. They do still have LeBron James and Luka that's going to command a lot of looks, a lot of double teams. So therefore, there will be open shots to be made. Do they have enough playmakers on that team? Do they have enough shot makers on that roster? In some of these games, they're showing it so far. So we're a ways away before we really have to, put our finger on the trigger and select the winner. But with the numbers right now, and that's, of course, before the playoffs start, and like we fill out our bracket, whatever, as fans. But as far as finding the best number, that ship has sailed. Or do you even look at plus 750 to represent the West? And the ultimate number here, as far as to win it all with the Lakers at 17-1, is that worth the squeeze for you? Because if they do represent the West, who's beating them in the NBA Finals? The Celtics? I'll take the Celtics. Yes, no doubt. And that's why the Celtics are plus 205. I don't think the Lakers are going to get there. To answer my question, I still think that SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder are deep, talented, young, enthused bunch, coached very well, that are ready to take that leap, are ready to take that jump. That's where I'm at when it comes to thinking about the Oklahoma City Thunder's future this season. They've been in the conversations. We've been talking about OKC putting it together for a few seasons now. Of course, SGA has been on the scene and then some now. Of course, he's going to get the MVP award this year, as DraftKings has him at minus 500 to win that award. So the time is now for SGA and Oklahoma City Thunder. But they are beatable, and they ended up just coughing up a bad loss to the Timberwolves the other night. Could somebody get them in a 7-game series? It's going to be difficult, but I'm not going to say that that's impossible. But if you made me make a selection right now, I'm going to save my money on the Lakers, and from the standpoint of whether or not they can represent the West in the NBA Finals. Now, with that being said, is there anything out there for you? Love to get your thoughts on this, as far as if somebody did want to get action on the LA Lakers to be involved with Luka and LeBron together. If there is a wager that is that you would recommend, please let us know. FOXPHL Gambler, of course, live on all things socials at this point in time as well. STT Sports Network. I can now watch NBA basketball this year. The Sixers train wreck has ruined my excitement for the game. No lie. I'm not here to deny that. No, I'm with you. It's sad. It really is tough. And then it's specifically when they start to talk about the 76ers, it derails any excitement that maybe I have for the upcoming game or for the association as a whole. On top of, then it makes me start to think about the damn team when I let them go. That's how bad it is for the 76ers. Could not agree with you more, STT. But I'll have a thought on the Sixers in just a second, unfortunately. I know. Again, love to get your thoughts as far as Luka is concerned. More from last night. Nico Harrison on the sideline, and Luka is making a fool out of him. You could tell that there is still definitely something going on. It just happened. So, right, like we all have to agree with that. That Luka is definitely not happy, still frustrated, still upset, still questioning what took place. I'm sure he's happy. I'm sure that, getting into LA with that weather and the attention that he's getting, it's probably raised his profile. His senses, heightened his senses up a little bit. Oh, by the way, playing with LeBron's got to be a lot of fun. But the betrayal's got to be there. And when you are going into a game like that, that automatically everybody circled immediately as soon as that trade went down. Oh, Luka's going to score 50 points. Technically did not. He said last night he was exhausted. He was going home after the game. How about that for a guy that needs to smoke some hookah and have a beer after every final result? Now Luka's like, no, I'm tired, man. I'm going home, going to bed. I wonder if he did. What's the odds that Luka went home and went to sleep after that game last night in LA? Yeah, right. But the buildup got to him. So I would give him the benefit of the doubt. That had to be exhausting. And pregame, you got him out there doing push-ups in the middle of the floor. You got Nico looking at him from afar. It was very strange. You had the Lakers crowd chanting, "Thank you, Nico." That's embarrassing. You got to look yourself in the mirror and really realize how bad you screwed this up. I still don't believe that we know everything. There's got to be something else behind the scenes that ultimately pushed this trade through from the Mavericks perspective. And I have a write up here from The Athletic that the spin zone is out there for the Mavs. You can just save it. You can save all the spin. Nobody wants to read it. Nobody cares. Luka, if you wanted to move off him, I think we could even agree. I would never say that you should trade a guy like Luka Doncic. I mean, look what we said with Joel Embiid for years. I would just say this much, that even if you believed in trading in Luka and you are Nico Harrison or you're anybody from the Dallas Mavericks franchise, ultimately you didn't do what was right for the franchise, for your fan base, for the team, for the future, because you didn't open it up. You went to one team. You went to the LA Lakers. How do you trade Luka to the West? Get him out of the conference. Put him in the East at the very least. Open it up and see what you can get. How many teams are willing to give up first-round pick after first-round pick after potential big-name player to get a guy like Luka, regardless of what the reports are that are now surfacing via The Athletic? And I'll read it to you. Quote, the Dallas Mavericks reportedly had an issue with Luka Doncic smoking hookah and drinking beer. I need to take a sip of coffee on this one. It goes on to say, make no mistake, the people who witnessed Doncic's last days in Dallas do not paint a flattering portrait of the 25-year-old's professionalism. They call him lazy. They talk about the weight issues that were such frequent frustration within their walls. They mention the social habits The Athletic has reported on, such as a taste for beer and hookah. Ooh. Which have been a point of concern for NBA types since he was a 19-year-old star for Real Madrid who was entering the NBA draft. They predict his basketball demise, highlighting a health history that, as some see it, will likely lead to catastrophe in the next 5 years or so. Still, like, you can even tell me that this is going to lead to a catastrophe in 2 to 3 seasons, not 5 years. I'm not trading Luka, A. B, I'm not trading Luka to the LA Lakers. And C, I'm not trading Luka without opening up. And you got that dude, Nico Harrison, who is a fool. Who's a fool. And I'm willing to sit here and say that he's not going to come out looking good. Like, there was a moment in that first half of play for Anthony Davis when he looked good that maybe you're like, well, if Luka all of a sudden can't play, he's got a bad hip, he's smoking hookah on the sideline, doesn't want to suit up for the LA Lakers, wants to pull a TO and Bynum and all wrapped up in one, bringing it home for us here in Philadelphia. Like, even then, I'm still having a hard time saying Dallas made the right move. But that's not going to happen. All you did was motivate Luka. And that, my friend, is how we win as basketball fans. Hopefully that is the case. Hopefully Luka takes that to heart and says, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be smoking hookah as a 25-year-old phenom, as somebody that has just been ripping the league up. Oh, by the way, while I'm doing this stuff, maybe I could go ahead and save it to the off season. Maybe I can go ahead and tighten up a little bit. We'll see. I know playing with LeBron is only going to register one way because LeBron ain't putting up with that. Also from last night, no shaking hands with Jay Kidd after the game. Luka stuck around, shook hands with everybody from the Dallas Mavericks. Everybody wanted to see what he would do. Did not shake hands, did not look Jason Kidd's way. They were both there. I think that is something of importance because of everything we were being sold. Oh, Jason Kidd didn't know anything. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Jay Kidd signed off on it. Nico knew this. Nico's going to take the fall on it, understood, but nothing like that is going to take place without the coach not knowing. And I think Luka figured out what was what over the past few days, past week or so. And I think we can all realize that this wasn't something out of thin air and certain people had to sign off on it. Regardless, wrong damn move. Now, finally, if I could, because this needs to be up there front and center. And it's just amazing to me that LeBron James is able to do what he's doing. And literally is still the best player on the floor at his age. And I know that there are some people out there that are just like, all right, man, like I get it. LeBron is he's amazing. No. Like he's 40 years old. He's competing with the best athletes in the world at one of the most athletic games you ever have to be. You have to be such an athlete. The best athletes play basketball. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm not sitting here telling you that's the hardest sport. No, the hardest thing to do in professional sports is hit a baseball, step into the batter's box. Cornerback is a position that you're going to lose a lot. But when it comes to athleticism, 5 versus 5, the best athletes out there, size, skill, everything that goes into playing the game of hoops, for my money, and all love and respect to hockey, because hockey, you got to be a maniac a little bit more than any other sport as far as mentally is concerned. And that's no easy task as far as skating. Take a look at some of those dudes' legs, those quads, how big those dudes are on the ice. I'll still say that the best athletes are on the NBA floor. And you got 40-year-old LeBron James out there playing defense the way he is. And everybody told me he was a bad defender. And he was pretty bad at the beginning of the year. He wasn't playing good defense. There's no doubt about that. But he's rejuvenated. He's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And for him, he's second in the entire NBA this season in fourth quarter points. He went off in the fourth quarter last night. LeBron James and what he is doing, we've never seen before. We've never seen before. Just haven't. Not like this. 16 points, 7 of 9, 5 boards, 2 assists. It's ridiculous. It really is. If you watch these games with attention to detail and you're not a LeBron hater, which those people exist for some odd reason, I get it. He's opinionated. He's corny at times. But when we're talking about on the floor, he is a bad dude out there. Shoving people, get off me, rebounds, posting up. He is just a specimen. And to be able to do it at this height, at this level, at the age of 40, it's just something that I never thought we would ever see. And we've been knowing that LeBron James is going to be playing at this age for a long time. I didn't think he'd be playing at this level. Last night was insane. We were rewarded last night as NBA fans to be able to tune into that game and catch LeBron perform in the fourth quarter, Luka get a triple-double, everything that was the build-up, and then the post-game reaction. A lot of fun to be an NBA fan last night. All right, with that being said, we will touch on some of the NBA games real quick tonight via DraftKings Sportsbook. At the top of the list, as I said, the 76ers are in action. Month of February almost over. Now, I understand how it works. This is a bad basketball team. The 76ers are 1-9 in the month of February. It has just been a complete cluster, you know what, for this franchise, front office, coaching staff. Nick Nurse is going to be fired. Like, this is just, it's embarrassing to where the Sixers are at this point in time. something that I didn't even believe would be taking place. And I was down on the Sixers. I didn't think that they would be even remotely close to this bad. I thought for sure that the roster was going to be somewhat feasible. This is a terrible, terrible team that has zero fight and are dealing with a ton of injuries to all the wrong pieces. And I'm worried about one player only moving forward, and that's Tyrese Maxey. But it does seem like he does have the right build up in his mind, the right makeup, where he said, you know what, he was recorded yesterday or interviewed, I think, post game. And he was like, man, we just got to get out there and fight. That's it. He talked about competition. He talked about you could play pickup basketball. We're playing the game that we love, and it's about winning. It's about competition. It's about getting out there. Ultimately, they're not going to win basketball games, no doubt about it. But like I said, the only concern I have right now is for Tyrese Maxey and his growth, and I don't want him to take a step back as he did to start the season this year. Hopefully that won't be the case next year, but next year is next year. Who the hell knows what next year will look like? I just want to bring this up, though, because as bad as it is for the 76ers, and I'm not trying to put this out here to make us feel better, I do want to put out that, like, you do have a team in Phoenix who rolls out Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers of all time, no doubt about it. Devin Booker, one of the top players in the game right now. Bradley Beal, you can go down the list of their roster and who they have. It's not a bad team. Now, they were dealing with a little bit of injury at the beginning of the season, but bottom line is it's a pretty damn good roster. It's a roster that at the beginning of the season, if you were to look at the back of the basketball card and just go up to anybody, who would you rather have, Sixers or the Suns? I think 9 out of 10 would say the Phoenix Suns. Again, knowing what we know, without being in a coma for the last 10 years, I think it's a little closer. But you look at Kevin Durant and what he brings to the table, what Bradley Beal is supposed to be able to do. Devin Booker, Plumlee, you can go down. Grayson Allen is a decent player off the bench. Like, these guys are good players. Some of them are greats. They are right now as we stand. Like, it blew me away how bad the Phoenix Suns are. They're 2-9 in the month of February. Currently, they are 4 games under 500. A little snake bitten at times. They're 27-31. They just played the Memphis Grizzlies. In overtime, they lose 151-148. So that's why I bring up snake bitten. They had 5 players score 20-plus points. I just want to point that out because we came in with somewhat expectations. I don't think people were talking about us in the same light that people were discussing the Phoenix Suns, where they could potentially compete for the West, potentially put it together. New coach, Kevin Durant's understanding, he's staying there. Devin Booker, chemistry, like so on and so forth. People were expecting the Phoenix Suns to put it together this year, and it clearly has not been the case. That is a bad team that should have blown it up at the All-Star break, should have traded Kevin Durant some way, somehow. From my understanding, he doesn't have a no-trade clause, but did not want to go to Golden State. So they followed his wishes, which is interesting. Bradley Beal does have a trade clause, one of the very few players in the NBA. But if you wanted something to make you feel a little bit better about being a 76er fan at this point in time, there are worse franchises out there that came in with a little bit more expectation than the 76ers. 76ers are 20-37, so 7 off the mark there compared to the Phoenix Suns. But again, like I said, nothing anywhere close to, hey, this team could compete for a championship. And now they are an 11 seed, trailing the Thunder by a whole lot. As the Thunder are 46-11, they're 27-31. Just looking down the playoffs. We'll get into the playoffs tomorrow with Sean Bernard on the yes or no as far as DraftKings is concerned. All right, back over to the NBA again tonight. Bunch of games in the association. Sixers and Knicks. Knicks are 10-point favorites. That game is tipping off at 7-10. 231 is our total in that one. Then you got the Celtics and Pistons, which should be a good game. I didn't really want to put this out there because it does rub a little salt in the wound, but Tobias Harris, since the trade deadline, he leads the league in plus minus. He is, since the trade deadline, and that wasn't all that long ago, but still a decent amount of games here, 19 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game, 1.3 steals, 60, 42, and 91%. As I said, he is leading the league in plus minus in that stretch. That's pretty damn funny. The Detroit Pistons are a fun team to take inventory on. They're 32-26. They've already blown away the amount of games that they won last year. This is a playoff team. And again, we'll see what happens when we get closer. But this is a team that's putting it together right here with winners of 7 straight. Tonight, they roll in, or they're hosting Boston at home. They're catching 5 at home. And this is one of those games where we're about to find out how good the Detroit Pistons really are. Now, obviously, we know the Celtics and what they're capable of. The Celtics are capable of going into Detroit and winning by 25, hands down. Are the Pistons capable of winning this game outright at plus 160? I think so. I do. I think the Pistons have been playing good basketball. It could be one of those cases where the Celtics don't really show up and give it a 110%. That championship caliber basketball team that we see. We saw a lot more last year on a nightly basis. This year, there are some spots where the Celtics show up and go through the motions, end up getting beat. 42-16 on the season, 16 losses. Got to be honest with you, that's a couple more than I thought that they would have at this point in time of the season. But that's that championship mentality. They know the real season doesn't start until April. And oh, by the way, this is the regular season. So you don't get anything extra for winning the regular season. You get the overall 1 seed home field or home court throughout. But I think this team will be just fine having to go on the road in Cleveland, winning 4 of 7 there. But versus hosting. I know it's easier said than done, but it's a 2-horse race in the East. The Knicks just don't compete versus the Celtics and the Cavs. Look at the numbers, specifically against the Celtics. So if you told me right now, and as I said to start the show, I would take the Celtics to win the NBA championship this year, right here, right now. But we'll see what happens come April. We got a long way to go until we get to that spot where we have to start giving our predictions. Anyways, back over to the card for tonight. I do like the Pistons. That's the game of the night for me that I'll be tuned in there. Raptors and Pacers, all eyes on the Raptors. We're pulling them for the lose, for the lottery balls. They're 11-point dogs on the road in Indy. Trailblazers and Wiz, 6.5. Trailblazers are favored on the road. OKC and Brooklyn, that's a 17-point spread, 2:16, 7:40 p.m. Hawks and the Heat are 2.5-point home favorites, 2:32. Clippers and the Bulls, 8:10 p.m. LA Clippers favored on the road in Chicago by 9. Kings and Jazz, that's a 9.5-point spread. Kings favored in Utah, 236.5 is our total on DraftKings there. And finally, Spurs and the Rockets. Rockets 9-point favorites, 228.5 is their total. A lot of big spreads, a lot of big names injured at this point in time. A lot of teams, 1, 2, 3 Cancun in it in their minds. So good luck on those plays. And again, Sixers and Knicks, nobody needs to see that on national TV. Come on, can we flex out of that? Is the flex possible in the NBA? Ridiculous. All right, keeping it moving. Let's go ahead and switch gears and get on over to college hoops. And let's talk a little bit about what took place last night before we dive into tonight's big matchup. Last night, the big one, Georgia upsetting Florida. And this was a crazy, crazy game because if you went and looked at the box score, you just see 88-83. Home team won. But this was a game where Florida trailed by 26 in the first half. They were down by 26, come back, and were able to take a lead on a 13-0 run late in the game. They get an 80-78 lead, and everybody's going, all right, that's all. It's over. I believe 6.5-point spread, 285 on the money line, if I'm not mistaken. And then all of a sudden, Georgia hit the gas pedal, a bunch of threes to close up shop, and they pull off the upset. 88-83 was your final score. This is significant because it could have some dealings as far as later bracketology with seeding. Florida is one of those teams, I would say, that if you go to anybody that's paying attention to college hoops right now, and you said, you can't give me Auburn, you can't give me Duke to win the national championship, who are you going to take? I think a lot of people would say Houston. I think a lot of people would say Florida and stop there. You might get a sprinkle of Alabama. You might. I don't hear too many people talking about the Cyclones. Even Nick McClay has stopped. St. John's, I caught them in person. I don't really view them as a national championship contender. Good team, but offensively, there's other teams out there that have my attention. Tennessee, could they get over the hump this season and make it happen with Rick Barnes? I don't know. But I could see Alabama, I could see Houston, I could see Florida, I could see Duke, I could see Auburn. It's a 5-horse race for me that could potentially win a national championship. If you are talking about two teams that could shake things up, one of them is in action tonight. The other one, Missouri, has looked really good and 30-1. I would take a flyer on Missouri as well, on two teams on the outside looking in. Now, Kentucky and Auburn will be facing off on Saturday. That's going to be a big game. Could Kentucky get it together and make a run come March? Potentially. There's going to be 13 teams from the SEC. We got a long way to go until we got to start figuring out who can win it all. But right here on the surface, I would say five teams for my money. Florida ends up coughing up that loss on the road against Georgia last night. Like I said, the bracketology could have them shifting. That loss could have an impact down the road here. Long way to go. Conference tournament time 2 weeks from now. We'll see how that one shakes out. Now, to tonight's game, and this is the big one. Sparty is a team that I do believe, who would argue with you, with Izzo being successful come March at 35-1. Now, Sparty tonight is taking on the Crab 5 in Maryland. Shout out to Sam Ostry. Won't be able to hop on the show tomorrow. He's out of town. But we got a big one going on in Maryland tonight, 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Maryland, a home 4.5-point favorite. And this is the game that we should all be locked on this evening. There is a lot to like about this matchup. Michigan State has won 6 straight against Maryland, and 4 of the last 5 going down in College Park. The Terps opened up at 3.5-point favorites. They are now up to, as I said, here on DraftKings. I just gave you that number. It's back down to 3.5. Sorry. So 3.5. It did get as high as 4. We're at 3.5, holding steady, 149.5. Again, 6:30 start time. So that's an early tip there, but one that we need to be paying attention to the most this evening. Other great games going off in the college hardwood here. Kentucky is in action tonight, taking on Oklahoma again. I think Kentucky can start to open our eyes, potentially as far as what they have on their roster. Some of the talent, coached very well in the first season with Pope. I like what Kentucky has shown me so far this year. I knew that they'd have some hiccups, but that's a team that I could talk myself into potentially messing around and upsetting somebody come March Madness time, bracket time. Tonight, they're 2.5-point road favorites in Oklahoma. St. John's and Butler, they're going head-to-head. We got Memphis and Rice. Clemson and Notre Dame. Clemson is catching a lot of attention. They're 14.5-point favorites at home against Notre Dame. A&M is a team that some gambler gang folks like. They're 7.5-point favorites against Vandy. Vandy's a tough team this season in the SEC. In the late night window, we got Utah and Arizona. Not too late at 9 p.m. Arizona, a 15.5-point favorite against Utah at home. And then Arizona State and BYU. BYU 4.5-point road favorites in Arizona State tonight. So a couple good games as far as college is concerned, and we will go. Check out the comments from PG. Sixers might be back, is what Ryan Coyle's telling me. Oh. Paul George stopping his podcast to pursue a championship this season. I'm sure that works well on radio. I got nothing for you there. I just get rid of Paul George. Just get rid of Paul George. Please just get rid of him. I've already had enough of him, and we're not even through one season. And you mean to tell me that there's another 3 seasons worth of Paul George coming our way? No, I'm good on that. I was surprised that he was recording as much as he was with as bad as the team has been playing this year. So at least I'm happy to see that he is aware of his surroundings. Paul George announces that he would be load managing his podcast P episodes for the time being to help the 76ers make a championship push. I want to let the Podcast P family know that after today's episode with Dwight, I plan to take a break from the pod just to focus on getting my body right, mentally right, and, help this squad make a push towards our goal to finish the season out, give ourselves a chance to be in contention to compete for a championship. These dudes are so corny. You people are so corny in this podcast world. These new media athletes, Micah Parsons, Darius Slay, Paul George. You want me to keep going on? Like, you folks are so corny. Get a life. Good grief. That just even pisses me off more to read something like that. Yeah, you think, okay, well, what happened in November, December, January? It's February 26th. Should you have been recording that whole time? Is that what you're telling me? That now all of a sudden this team is in the dumpster and has no chance of sniffing the playoffs, and here you are telling me that this is the time that you're going to focus on the NBA? Shut up. These people are so cheesy, man. So corny. And the Sixers signed him up. Unbelievable. All right, back to my notes. Moving on. The Wooden Award. I wanted to bring this up since we were talking college hoops. And the Wooden Award for the college basketball season now, a lot of people have said that this is basically over and it is going to be Cooper Flags. I don't know if that is a lock, because I would say Broom is plus 125. And if you're looking at him having the best team, I would bring it up just because it's plus money. I know there's a few games left in the regular season. But if you're telling me that Auburn will be the overall one team, if you're telling me they're going to have the best record from the best conference in college basketball, how will the voters react to that? Will they give it to the rookie, the freshman sensation, Cooper Flag, who's at minus 155 at most shops, minus 150? Or do you think you can go Broom with plus money and at least take a flyer on that? I'm leaning towards Cooper Flag because of how dominant, how explosive, how much fun he is to watch. But I do think that if Duke ends up losing another game or potentially loses 2 games, that could be a huge blow to his award chances. So I think at plus money, plus 125, if you're telling me right now that you need to make a wager on that one, there's no other way I'm looking at it. Again, I think Cooper Flag is to play, but I'm not making that wager on him at this point in time. But it is something from the award season as far as college hoops is concerned to keep our eyes on and see how that one plays out. Again, long way to go. I take that back, actually. A long way to go to crown a champion, but with a regular season, we got 2 regular season Saturdays left, this one and the next one, and that's it. And then we got conference tournament action, which I did see a lot of chatter on my timeline today for, so I'm looking forward to that. Anyways, Michigan State in the Crab 5 tonight. Who you got? It's a tough one, man. Maryland's ready to go for this one, playing great basketball. Michigan State, battle-tested, just beat Michigan on Friday night. I missed the game, wasn't able to watch in great detail, being down there in Disney, but it was definitely one that I looked at Michigan being the better team. Michigan State, Sparty, Izzo and company saying not so fast. Could they go on the road and win this game? Of course. But doesn't this feel like this is the spot for Maryland to really announce their arrival this season? A lot of people been second guessing. If you don't have somebody that you do a show with once a week that is an alum from Maryland, are you really paying that much attention to this team? But they have a good roster, solid pieces down low, good shooters, good coach, not the best home court environment. Maybe we might see something different tonight. I'm having a hard time picking against Izzo and company catching 3.5, but I think that number is telling you a little something there. Give me Maryland tonight at home, 6:30 p.m. The Crab 5 to come away with the victory there. All right. We will end up on some other odds and ends real quick if we could. Once again, fast one today here on the Daily Ticket. Back in studio tomorrow and on Friday. Looking forward to that, getting in there. We're also going to be doing some new shows, Sean Bernard, myself. But I do want to hit on some of the things that are taking place in the NFL Combine, specifically the tush push, banning the brotherly shove. We jabbed at it yesterday, had some fun. I want to give a shout out to Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports. This is pretty alarming as far as the numbers are concerned. You want to talk about how successful the Eagles are? The Eagles have converted 91.3% of their QB sneaks or tush push into a first down or touchdown on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 since the start of the 22 season. The NFL average is 84.2% in that span. He goes on to say the Eagles were 39 of 48, 81% converting the tush push into a first down or touchdown this year. Now listen to this. Of the 9 times they failed, they followed with a first down touchdown on the next play using the same play 8 times. Essentially, the Philadelphia Eagles were 47 of 48 this season on the tush push. Now, I realize that some of these teams are out there, pleading sour grapes, whining, get rid of it. It's an injury waiting to happen. It's all bogus. It's all BS. There are some people out there that are in the NFL that are saying the right things like, man, you got to stop them. And how do you stop that play? It's difficult, no doubt about it. But you can't allow them to get to 3rd and 1. You got to do better on 1st and 2nd down. That's how you ultimately give your best chance to stop the tush push. And Damian Woody said it on Get Up yesterday no, it was Matt Hasselbeck. Tim Hasselbeck, Matt Hasselbeck, one of those guys, the bald guy. He said that this is the way that they build their roster. You look at it, there are great teams out there that have awesome offensive lines, but do they have the quarterback that backs up what Jalen Hurts brings to the table? Look at San Francisco, great offensive line, but Brock Purdy is not built for that life. He's not. So when you got a guy like Jalen Hurts, it obviously makes life a little easier picking up that tough yardage. You can't penalize the team because they are great at a certain play that is legal. And on top of it, we always change these rules. A lot of whining and snowflakes out there. And we're always changing rules. Can we just allow this play to be there at the Eagles' disposal for any team that wants to run it? And if you're good at it, then so be it. And if you're not, then you got to go ahead and stop them some way, somehow. That's the way I view it. And we'll see if the NFL steps up and removes it, because it's not going to be, if you missed yesterday's show, it won't be removing the play. What it will be going back to the 2005 rule where you could not push and advance a player that was already stalled. You could not come from behind and push a player into the end zone. They changed that rule due to the fact that the officials could not call it the right way. So that's why they got rid of it. I think it had a little bit more to do with scoring, because you see these players getting stopped on the goal line, the 3-yard line, and all of a sudden they get that push. The next thing you know, we're moving the chains or we're scoring a touchdown. So I think it results to more offense, and that's a good thing in the eyes of viewership, in the eyes of people that are out there trying to put or measure metrics as far as numbers are concerned when it comes to viewership, when it comes to people tuning in to watch the game. Eyeballs at the end of the day. So if they do change it, it will be back to that old rule back in 2005 where you can't advance. I don't have an issue with that, because I still think the Eagles will be able to run the QB sneak better than most, regardless. Moving on, speaking of Jalen Hurts, he was honored last night as the Philadelphia Citizen of the Year. Jalen Hurts, if you don't know, has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Philadelphia schools, air conditioning units, so they don't have to be shut down on schools on hot days, which is ridiculous. But he was also honored for mentoring kids, financial literacy, and has made a few appearances over the years at CHOP. And Jalen went on to say, quote, "The city of Philadelphia has been great to me, and I've given it my heart and my soul daily. This holds a special place in my heart. That pursuit to uplift those around us and create opportunities continues. I think that's a quality that oozes throughout the city of Philadelphia, of tough, greedy people that don't take no for an answer," close quote. Well said, Jalen. I salute you. You are a champion on and off the field. That will do it for me on the Daily Ticket here today. We'll keep it going, run it back on the other side, 5 o'clock hour. We're going to send it out to Fox Sports Radio, Covino and Rich. Once again, the Philly Show, we will be live all weekend long from March 7th through the 9th. I think we're 8 days away. Get your tickets now at phillyshow.com. Join us out there. Trust me, if you're a sports fan, if you're a collectibles fan, if you're any of the, in that arena, in that world that interests you, make an appearance out there. Trust me, it's electric. It's such an experience. It's a great time in Oaks, PA. Wide open. You're not, being pushed and shoved. There's so much room. Those places are huge out there in Oaks, the convention center. So phillyshow.com, and be sure to follow us at Fox PHL Gambler for your chance to win an autographed Jake Elliott jersey, courtesy of the fine folks over at the Philly Show. We will also have some other giveaways that we'll be doing throughout the course of this week and next week. So be sure to follow us and follow those rules, those guidelines on the post as well. Everybody, good luck on those plays. Crab 5, and let's go Pistons. I'll talk to you tomorrow.